Greetings. Michael Didier here, and I'm glad you decided to come and join us today. You may be listening to the video, but thank you for joining us. We are going to do some very interesting things today. I'm probably going to make some of you mad at me again. Oh, you know what? That happens on a pretty regular basis, doesn't it? Well, the question is this: do we rejoice in the truth, or do we really want to keep and preserve the ways, the doctrines and traditions of men that we have cherished our whole life? You know, sometimes we have to challenge our thinking to go deeper in the scriptures. I'm going to do that today. Let's do a quick review of what we talked about last week. I'm going to switch to my eSword, and we're going to start here in, I think, Genesis 6, verse 3. Last week we went through Genesis 9 through the end of the chapter and a bunch of Yasher. Today we're going to do 7 and a bunch of Yasher. We might make it to 8. I doubt it. We'll see. We saw last week that Yehovah was angry. He said, "My spirit shall not rule, shall not master in man forever, for olam. For he is indeed flesh." Flesh. Who's he talking about? Who did Yehovah give his commandments to? We saw Genesis 2 that it was to the man, Ha-Adam, that he said that he was supposed to tend the garden. He came to visit with Ha-Adam. And it wasn't until Ha-Adam sinned, not his woman, till Ha-Adam sinned, that a new kind was created. A new creation in the earth. You know, I wonder if it was Adam instead of Ha-Adam. You know, I remember, I think it was in chapter 4 or 5, the beginning of chapter 4 or 5. Yeah, here. Verse 5, or chapter 5, verse 2. Male and female, he created them and blessed them and called their name Adam in the day it was created. You know, that can give us some false ideas also. Male and female. We're going to see some things today about male and female. This is really the idea, this male and female thing is really the idea that caught my attention this week and challenged me to rethink a word that I have used my whole life. You know, there's words that we've learned that are loaded words. God, I think, is one of them. When we think of God, we talk about, we have a plethora of things that go through our mind when we think of gods. But remember, I always call Yehovah our Elohim, serving other Elohim, because I understand that Elohim is lawmakers and judges. It has to do with who you serve when we're talking about gods. or the Elohim. So it's a loaded word. There's so much baggage that goes with these words: Lord, God, atonement, children, that we can't see the truth because of the words that we've chosen and the understandings that we have regarding those particular words. It was, what did he say? My spirit shall not strive with Adam forever. Hola. What does he say? For he is indeed flesh. Ooh, flesh. Man is flesh. That's the word I needed for the man. Flesh. Ooh. Not talking about the spiritual man, is he? He's talking about the flesh man. That's the word that I've been looking for these past few days. Let's continue with our review. He says, this is the genealogy of Noah. Noah, in fact, let's read it in the Hebrew. But Noah found grace in Yehovah's eyes, in the sight of Yehovah. He doesn't have eyes. He's not a man. In his sight. But look what it says. This is the genealogy of Noah. Noah became Hayah, a holy, righteous man. This is not an Adam. This is not the flesh man. This is the spiritual man. Noah walked with the Elohim. Do you hear what's going on here? He was not ruling in the man, but he was ruling with whom? With this Ish, Noah. I think it's interesting it says became. Did Noah become righteous over a period of time, as we all must do? Or is it possible that there was a time that Yehovah touched Noah and he became righteous? I want to show you something. This is, remember, shadow pictures, line upon line, precept upon precept, here a little, there a little. As is Noah, in a sense, so is the male child. The one who's going to deliver a large group of people, well, large group of people, really a comparatively small group of people, from this world into the millennial kingdom, just as Noah delivered a very small, even smaller group of people from the antediluvian world into this one. Look what it says in Isaiah. Talking about became righteous. He says, so I said, woe is me, I am undone, for I am an Adam of unclean lips, and I dwell in the midst of people of unclean lips. For my eyes have seen the King, Yahovah of hosts. His eyes saw a spiritual king and a spiritual kingdom. Then one of the seraphim flew to me, having in his hand a live coal which he had taken from the tongs of the altar. And he touched my mouth with it and said, Behold, this has touched your lips. Your iniquity is taken away, your sin purged. Also I heard the voice of my master saying, Whom shall I send? And whom will go for us? Then I said, Hini, Shalachni, here I am, send me. Oh, I want to say those words. I rehearse them wherever I can. But look at this. There was a point in Isaiah's life where Yahovah did something and purged his sin. I think that's really interesting because that's what's going to happen with the 144,000. You know, we use that number. That number is not anywhere in the scriptures. It's in the Revelation. But we are talking about a large number of servants, aren't we? But I think it is interesting what it says about these servants of Yahovah. Here it is right here. It's in Revelation 14:5. It finishes like these. These were redeemed from among men. Well, of course, we don't know the word that they're using there because it's Greek. Being first fruits to Elohim. But I could venture a guess that it's going to be they were redeemed from among Adam. And their mouth was found no deceit, for they are without fault before the throne of Elohim. Became righteous. So now the question is, this question about all flesh. So Elohim looked upon the earth, and indeed it was corrupt. And all flesh had corrupted, look what it says, their way. We saw last week that it's not their way. What was it? It was his way right here. His way is what it says. There's no doubt about this. This Vav says his way. They have corrupted his way. The flesh. Who's the flesh? Are we talking about the ladies? All flesh. Okay, he's going to kill who? He's going to kill all the men, all the women, all the animals, all the bugs, all the birds. All the flesh. That would be what we would think, isn't it? But look what it says. And Elohim looked upon the earth, and indeed it was corrupt, for all flesh had corrupted his way. Well, ask yourself a question. Has animal flesh corrupted its way? How about bird flesh? How about bug flesh? Aren't they all doing what they were created to do? Well, now we have women flesh. Okay, was it woman flesh that he's talking about? They're going to die, aren't they? Who is he talking about that has corrupted his way? His Darak. Darak. This is the word right here. Darak. 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 Well, is the woman supposed to follow his ways? When did he ever tell a woman to follow his ways? What did he tell the woman? Your desire shall be for your man, and he shall rule over you. Not about a woman following his ways. No, There's more to understand here. They're the all flesh, the men. Ha-Adam. Remember, we were talking about Adam's seed, was called the sons of Adam, so many times in Yasher. Well, we saw it, I believe it was in Genesis 11, at the building of the Tower of Babel. It was Adam's seed, who was building the Tower of Babel. Ooh, we're going to talk about that. That's like I say, that's chapter 11. We're on chapter 6 right now. It's going to be a while before we get there. But there's things for us to understand. So here, we're again, all flesh has corrupted his way. When Yahovah, in this next chapter that we're going to talk about today, is going to destroy the earth, who is it that he's really coming to destroy? The animals? Is he mad at the animals? Is he mad at the bugs? Is he mad at the birds? Is he mad at the ladies? I think the answer is no. He's mad at the men. They have corrupted his way on the earth. And in a sense, the ladies, the animals, the bugs, the birds are really collateral damage. We took Canaan after we crossed the Jordan. We destroyed everybody because we were going to take their land. Male, female, young, old, didn't matter. But who are we taking the land from? Did the females own the land? Did the servants own the land? Did the children own the land? No, the men own the land. We were killing the men, and the rest is collateral damage. To wipe that seed from the earth. We're going to do it again in these last days, just as Yahovah is doing it in the flood today. Wiping that seed from the earth and starting anew with a man that loves him. Noah now is going to make an ark. Big box. Container. What did we call it? Build an ark. Oh, here it is. A box. Yeah, it was a box. Box. Build a box. A container. 3 stories. He said it's going to be 450 feet long, 70 feet wide, 75 feet wide, and 45 feet high. 3 decks. I was thinking this morning, did they have the animals scattered through the 3 decks? Was there a deck primarily for food and water? Was there a deck mainly for the animals? And maybe a deck down below for caca. I suggested that they maybe had a, what do we call those things that the submarines can come up into the ship?
Flotation device?
No, a hole in the ship, hole in the bottom.
Gantry?
Yeah, I forget the name of it too. A hole in the bottom of the boat that is designed, a pool, what do they call it? A something pool, term for this kind of pool, but it's access to the water from inside the ship. And I suggested that this is where some of the caca went. But we're going to see today that when the boat finally rests, you don't have any place to put the caca anymore if it was going to go into this pool. because now you've got dirt there. Well, Noah was told to go into the boat. Listen to this. 6:18. But I will establish my covenant with you, with thee. Yeah. I will establish my covenant with thee. Covenant. Barith. My covenants. With who? With Noah. With his sons? With his woman? No, with Noah. Noah's going to be the head. You know, I wrote a series of articles about the within your gates. That's what it was. Remember, there's going to be a head person in all the gates. He's the one that Jehovah has the covenant with. Moses was the head gatekeeper in the camp in the wilderness. Noah is the head person in this camp. And from here, his sons are probably going to set out on their own, or their sons are going to set out on their own and begin to be fruitful and multiply in the earth. But the covenant is with the man. See, this is the man. The Ish. Not the flesh man, not the Adam. Adam is flesh. That's what he said today. We saw it. No, this is the Ish, the spiritual man. Now, that's not going to hold true all the time in the scriptures. There are times where it seems like the flesh man is being called the Ish. But for purposes of these chapters, I want to stick with that concept, the Adam being the flesh and the Ish being the spiritual man. Noah was the righteous Ish, the Zadik Ish, it said up above. He is the one that Yehovah has the covenant with. And because these people are covered by the Zadik Ish, his sons, his wife, and his sons, his woman, and their women, the sons' women, are going to be kept safe. Well, we finished by saying, thus Noah did according to all that Elohim, his lawmaker and judge, commanded him. So he did. Well, let's pick up in chapter 7, verse 1. We covered this briefly last week. It says this: Then Yehovah said to Noah, come into the ark, thou and all thy household, because I have seen that thou art Zadok, righteous before me in this generation. His family is saved. Why? Because he is Zadik. Here it is right here, Zadik. Good word to learn. Just. A man who is following Yehovah's statutes, judgments, and ordinances. But you know what? It's more than that. And I think this is where we falter. Because we think, tell me if I'm right, we think that by keeping Yehovah's statutes, judgments, and ordinances, or trying, that we somehow become his people. Was this the message that Yehovah was teaching Ha'adam's seed in the antediluvian world through Noah, Canaan, Methuselah, Enoch? Or was it about following only Yehovah and then keeping his statutes, judgments, and ordinances. See, that's why I say I think we falter. I think because we have teachers, thankfully I'm not one of them, who have never left the kingdom of their birth. You can't serve two masters. And if you got a teacher that's never left the kingdom of his birth, and he's teaching you to follow Yahovah's commandments, statutes, and judgments, we got a problem, don't we? Because Yahovah did not give any of those statutes, judgments, and ordinances until when? Gave them to us. Israel's seed. When did he give them to us? Well, we were still in Egypt, or after we left Egypt? See, there's more to this understanding that we've got to get. This is the difference between the flesh man and the spiritual being. The flesh and the spirit. This is Ezekiel 14. It says, Son of man. Son of man. This is Ben. Adam's Ben. Ben of Adam. When land, a people, remember, a land can't sin. It's the people who in the land who sinned. When a people sin against me by persistent unfaithfulness, I stretch out my hand against it. I cut off its supply of bread, send famine on it, and cut off man, Adam, and beast, Behemah, from it. Even if these three men, Noah, there it is, Noah. Noah was a righteous man before Elohim, but he couldn't save the world. Daniel, Job. Oh my gosh, have you read what it says about Job? Have you seen my servant Job, a righteous and Yasher man? Elohim is bragging to Satan about Job. Noah, same way. Daniel, same way. It says, even if these three men, Noah, Daniel, Job, were in it, they would deliver only themselves by their righteousness. Did you hear that? What do we think? We think somehow this man Jesus, this man Yeshua, is going to save us by his righteousness. Folks, you've been lied to by the Catholic Church, who doesn't want you to follow Yahovah's ways. Satan doesn't want you to follow Yahovah's ways. Look what it says in 18 of Ezekiel, almost the beginning of this chapter. He says, behold, all souls are mine. The soul of the Father, as well as the soul of the Son, is mine. The soul who sins shall die. A man shall be delivered by his own righteousness. Look what it says. But if a man is just and does what is lawful and right, they're referring back to the Father and the Son, not the mother and the daughter, the Father and the Son. If he is just and does what is lawful and right, if he has walked in my statutes and kept my judgments faithfully, he is just. He shall surely live, says my master, Yahovah. Well, now look at this. This is what got me thinking this week. Thou shalt take with thee 7 each of every clean animal. 7. A male and a female. 2 each of animals that are unclean. We're talking about animals, behema, four-legged animals. Dogs, cats, cows, goats, sheep, gazelle, deer. Four-legged animals. Two each of the unclean. A male and his female. Well, look what this says here. It says an ish and his isha, male and female. Well, how strange is that? On several levels. You know what? We don't understand what's going on here. We have this mental picture in our minds. Probably you've had it, or you have it, or you have had it. That we're talking about two. We're talking about a male and a female. And so we see two elephants, we see two giraffes, we see two lions, we see two tigers going into the ark. But that's not the picture that we're getting here in Torah. When it talks about 7 of each clean animal, it's not talking about the female animals. It's talking about the male animals. And I think the thing that really helps us, and maybe this is why Yehovah chose to do 7 and not 6, was to make this clear to us. Because if it were 6, we could see then, well, maybe it's 3 pairs instead of 12 pairs, right? But when it's 7, you can't do that. So the 7 are the males. Now, this is particularly strange because this says, instead of Zakar and Nekabah, male and female, it says Ish and his Isha. We're talking about animals. Yet, and it's talking about Ish and Isha. Well, that set my mind on a whole new understanding. If we're talking about Ish, remember the animals, they were doing what they were supposed to do, weren't they? Clean and unclean alike. I mean, there's only so much a cow can do. Only so much a gazelle can do. So why does it say Ish and Isha? You know, most of these animals have mates. Or mates, maybe that's a loaded word also. They have, well, this is why I came up with the word I came up with today. They have females attached to them. If you look at the herds, gazelle, deer, moose, often it's the male that has more than one female, isn't it? But here it's calling for 7 each of the clean animals. Talking about male animals. Male and his female. Oh, isn't it interesting that even the translators don't translate this word the same way because they don't want to go to Ish and Isha. But yet that's what it says, Ish and Isha. And his Isha. Ish and his Isha. Both times. Well, again, this set my mind thinking. Because either this is a mistake, once again in Torah, or perhaps Yehovah is causing us to think a little deeper. Talking about 7 males. with the females. 2 males with the females. So here's what I considered. I would have expected this to say Zakar and Nekabah. And I believe it to be yet another error in Torah. I do think it is probably another error. But maybe not. I said, or perhaps the word we translate as woman, Isha, is really something like, I'm going to say it, appendage. Look what it says. Appendage. Terry told me this morning he didn't like this word. I came up with it last week. Most people aren't going to like this word. But this word, ladies, will save your life in these last days. Look how Yehovah created the woman. This is Genesis 2:23. And Ha-Adam, the man. I don't know why I don't have the there. The man. Said, this new creation is bone of my bone and flesh of my flesh. An extension of his body. She is bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh. Whenever I talk about the woman, I always look at my hand, don't I? My arm, my leg. My hand is an appendage to me. My hand is gone. I can live just fine, can't I? Yeah, there'll be some disabilities, but my life goes on. But a hand that's cut off, the appendage that is not attached to the flesh. Ooh, I like that word, flesh, for the ish. Can't survive, can it? It's nothing but rotten meat. And honestly, that's what, when Yehovah says, how did he say that? We really need to go back and review that. We're going to talk about the man is flesh. Here it is. And Yehovah said, my spirit shall not strive with Adam forever, for he is indeed flesh. The flesh man is going to be killed. He's dead meat also. We got to learn to do what we're created to do. If the flesh learns to do what he was created to do, and the appendage learns to do what she was created to do, you're going to survive. It's about doing what Yehovah created us to do. No, not 1 male, 6 females. We're talking about 7 males. We're talking about 14 in all, but he's only counting the males. This is a radical concept for us to understand. He's not numbering the female animals. He's numbering the male animals. But he's saying a male and a female. An ish and his isha. I hope you're starting to see this. I'm thinking maybe this is why he said his ish and his isha. This could be. But again, if that's the case, then that means that our understanding of ish and isha as man and woman has got to be, in a sense, redefined. And that's why I said in here, let me go here. I just think this is just so important for us to see this. This was I put it kind of the teaser for this particular class. I want to read it to you if you don't mind. Here it is. There are words in your Bible, no matter what English version you may use. I had to say that because in the Hebrew Bible, no, it doesn't, not going to have that problem. But it's the translators who use particular words that lead us into ways that we shouldn't go. No matter which version you may use, it actually prevent deeper understandings because of the milieu of preconceived ideas that we have associated with each of these particular words. Some of these words include God, Lord, sacrifice, husband, wife, children, atonement, and hundreds others. I think that man and woman is also one of those loaded words. Because when we read woman, most of us have no clue about the role of a woman. And by using the word appendage, I think it clarifies the role better. Yeah, Tom's put appendage as part of. Yeah, John is saying, well, I thought the ark was cramped. Well, now the ark is really cramped, isn't it? When we're talking about 14 of each kind of clean animal. Well, 7, but they don't count the females. But there's still 14 animals, isn't there? See, that's where the 7 really brings out this more clearly. Well, Tom, I want to talk about appendage, since you said part of. Oh, but let me read the rest of this. We talk about these words each week in my Sabbath class, and as I read my New King James, I substitute the correct words in order to develop deeper understandings. You see me do that all the time. This week I'm going to challenge our understandings once again, and I believe that those who listen to me regularly will be intrigued. Well, some newer folks may be set back or even a bit offended. But the crux of the matter is this. Do we love Jehovah's word? Or do we love the doctrines and traditions of men which we have been taught and accepted as true our whole lives? If we value Jehovah's word above all else, we must control the knee-jerk reaction of our flesh and instead consider the ramifications of what I am going to suggest. See, calling a woman an appendage for some women is going to be an affront, especially to the women liberators. Isn't it? To the feminist crowd. But I would say even the average woman is going to have a different or a difficulty grasping what I'm saying here. But it's all got to be understood in the context of Jehovah's word. So I said, if we do value Jehovah's word above all else, we must control our knee-jerk reaction of our flesh and instead consider the ramifications of what I'm going to suggest. This automated reaction, the knee-jerk, is what most people do to anyone who challenges their broad road theology. I think it's part of our Christian upbringings. It is. It happens often when people read my writings or listen to my teachings. That's what they do. That's what everybody does. They read stuff, and as soon as it violates one of their sacred precepts, And we especially learned this in the Christian church. It comes from Catholicism and the anathema, turning somebody off, dismissing them, sending them away. I think this is part of our Christian upbringings. It has happened often when people read my writings or listen to my teachings. They read or listen until they hear one thing that does not agree with their indoctrinated Christian precepts, Trinity doctrine, virgin birth, divinity of Yeshua, and all the other rubbish that has no foundation in Torah. Ooh, you're not making friends when you talk like this. And then stop and delete me as their friend. They do not know it, but they are cutting off their own nose to spite their face. Look what it says, Isaiah 57, 1 and 2. The righteous perishes. No man takes it to heart. Merciful men are taken away. Well, no one considers that the righteous is taken away from the evil. That's what they're doing, my God. They're turning me off before they listen to what I have to say because I violated one of their Christian principles. Shame on them, and it's going to result in their destruction. I put, folks, a true friend is going to show you the truth, no matter how much it hurts our temporal little feelings. Temporal. This body is temporal. I'm trying to help people get eternal life. Let's keep it in perspective. I'm trying to help you discover the message of Yehovah's eternal and unchanging word. The message that leads to life eternal. Yehovah, through Isaiah, says, whom will he teach knowledge? Whom will he make to understand the message? Those just weaned from milk? Those just drawn from the breast? No, they can't get it. They need more understandings. For precept must be upon precept, line upon line, here a little, there a little. Appendage is the word that we're talking about. Look what it says. This is American Heritage Dictionary of the English Language on appendage. Here's what it says. A noun, plural noun, can be a plural noun. Appendages. That's nashim, appendages. Isha, appendage. Nashim, appendages. Often a negative or pejorative connotation. Well, does that surprise me? No, I expected people are not going to like what I have to say. But you know what? What I'm giving you is life. An appendage that doesn't have a flesh or that's not attached to the flesh. A woman who's not attached to a man, okay? I'm stating it in a different way to give you better understanding. An appendage that's not attached to the flesh isn't going to survive. It can't. It's got to be attached to something. So listen, here's what it says. A thing that is added or attached to something larger or more important. Oh, Michael, are you saying that a man is more important than a woman? Yes. Yes, yes, yes. A man doesn't need a woman in her life. But a woman's got to have a man in her life. A man without a woman can still come before Yehovah. But a woman can't. Okay? There's deeper understandings here that I'm trying to help you see. I know I harp on this every week. But I'm trying to help you see how very, very important this is. Here's another definition. Something added or attached to an entity of greater importance or size. An adjunct. Oh, an adjunct. Oh, that's really interesting. Look what it says about an adjunct. This is the same dictionary. Something attached to another in a dependent or subordinate position. Does that sound like bone of my bone, flesh of my flesh? Does that sound like your desire shall be for your man and he shall rule over you? A dependent or subordinate position? Folks, this is a righteous word. Appendage. But again, you've got to renew your minds to the good and the acceptable and the perfect will of Elohim. Look at the 10th commandment. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's house. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's appendage, nor his servant, nor his female servant, nor his ox, nor his donkey, nor anything that is thy neighbor's. Is an appendage belong to the neighbor as a house does, as an ox does, as a donkey does? See, we use this word woman, we use this word men or man, and it's a loaded word. We can't see it. Especially in light of the doctrines and traditions of men that we have these days with the women who have learned to be Jezebels. The feminist understandings of the role of a woman. They're not Jehovah's understandings, are they? Here's Noah 7 and 8 of this chapter. Now, I guess I want to point this out only for this very reason, because in this verse, chapter 2, we're talking about Ish and his Isha. Twice it says it. Ish and his Isha. Clean animal. Ish and his Isha. Unclean animals. Ish and his Isha. But here it says of all clean animals, of animals that are unclean, of birds and everything that creeps on the earth, 2 by 2 they went into the ark, the male and female. The male and female. It doesn't even say his female. It just says the male and the female, the Zagar and the Nekabah. That's why I think maybe it is a mistake that they put Ish and Isha in this second verse of chapter 7, because they don't say it later on in the same verse. They don't even say it in the very next verse. Look what it says. Verse 3. Also 7 each of the birds of the air. Zakar and Nekabah, male and female, to keep the species alive on the face of the earth. I put no ownerships is implied here, because before it said a man and his Isha. Well, again, it's part of digging deeper when we see a word that doesn't fit the way it would normally fit in the rest of Torah. For after 7 days more, I will cause it to rain on the earth 40 days and 40 nights. 7 days more. Does that mean something's happening on a Sabbath, perhaps? I wonder. 40 days, 40 nights. I will destroy from the face of the earth all living things that I have made. All the living things. And Noah did according to all that Jehovah commanded him. Noah was 600 years old when the flood waters were on the earth. He's kind of jumping ahead, isn't he? Floodwaters haven't come yet. So Noah, with his sons, his appendage, and his sons' appendages, went into the ark because of the waters of the flood. Notice, it's the men leading the ladies. Noah with his sons, his wife, and his sons, or his women, his appendage, and the sons' appendages went into the ark because of the waters of the flood. Of clean animals, of animals that are unclean, birds, and everything that creeps on the earth. Remember, there's 3 kinds of things. Animals, behema, 4-legged animals, the birds, the things that fly in the air, and the things that creep on the earth. I always call them bugs, but, a snake. Okay, snake doesn't have four legs, does it? So the snake, he would fall into the bug kind, the creeping kind. But that's what we're talking about. Of clean animals, of animals that are unclean, of birds, and everything that creeps on the earth. 2 by 2 they went into the ark, male and female, as Elohim commanded Moses. Here's another thing. We've noticed this before when we talked about love Yehovah with all your heart and your soul. It never says soul and heart. It always says heart and soul. Because it's the heart that's going to lead the thoughts and the emotions. Well, in the same way, Yehovah never writes Nekabah and Zakar. It's always going to be Zakar and Nekabah. Because the man always leads the woman. The male leads the female. And I think the very fact that he's saying 7 and 2 when he's talking about the animals makes that point even more clear for us. Now, noting this order is a subtle understanding, but it's very, very important, and it fits the whole of Torah. Yehovah always says male and female. A man and his, it never says a woman and her man. No, it's a man and his woman. The flesh and his appendage. But when the flesh repents, leaves his old Elohim, and now keeps the Passover, he becomes the spirit flesh, the spirit man, the spirit. What do I call that particular man? I got to give him a name, don't I? He's the spiritual man. He's the seed. He's the seed. The seed can have an appendage. Spiritual seed. And it came to pass after 7 days, there it is again, 7 days, that the waters of the flood were on the earth. Yahovah always does what he says he's going to do. Don't bet against his word. In the 600th year of the life of Noah, in the second month, the 17th day of the month, on that day, all the fountains of the great deep were broken up, and the windows of heaven were opened. We got water coming at us from both ways, don't we? From above and from beneath. We'll talk about that more in the next chapter. Second month, 17th day. What day is this? You know what? Whenever you see months and days, always ask yourself, where does that fit in Yahovah's calendar? It took me a long time to start realizing that these days are important for us to understand. Second month, 17th day. What's going on in the second month, 17th day? Yeah, Carrie says we're in the second Passover. We're in the unleavened bread period of the second Passover. Is that important? We talk about Passover being the time of life, isn't it? Is it possible that Yahovah gave Ha'adam's seed a chance, a second chance, to keep the Passover, to keep the time of life, and come into covenant with him so that they could potentially get on the ark? Remember, there were other righteous men who lived on the earth. They passed before Noah did. Yahovah wanted to use Noah's seed, his seed, to produce the seed of the new world. I am the seed of that world. You are the seed of that world, men. Carries the seed of that world. But we don't want to stay the seed of that world. We want to become the spiritual seed. That's the good news. Don't be the old kind that produces after itself. Remember, Noah produced Shem after his own kind, in his own image. But that is the man of the flesh. That's the flesh that we were talking about, the perishable man. We want to become the seed. That's the good news. That's the message of how we can become the spiritually born man, seed, son of Yahovah. In the 600th year of Noah's life, in the second month, 17th day of the month, on that day all the fountains of the great deep were broken up, and the windows of heaven were opened, and the rain was on the earth. Think of this period where the flood is on the earth as the tribulation. There's going to be a period of time that men are going to be able to repent and turn back to Yahovah's ways. The tribulation really is to turn people who really are saying they're Yahovah's but aren't Yahovah's back to Yahovah, to cause them to leave their Elohim and to attach themselves wholly to Yahovah. Ladies, the ones who have learned to become women of worth in serving even their unrighteous man, may set the example for their man so that he too will come and join Yahovah's people at that time. If not, he may be taken away, but he will set you free to join yourself to Yehovah's men at that time. Or really, Yehovah's man at that time. And if you join yourself then to the spiritual man, you're going to become the spiritual woman, the spiritual appendage. He says, on that very same day, look at it, he's still talking about that second month, 17th day. On that very same day, Noah's sons. No, Noah's seed. There it is, seed. This is the seed of Noah. Remember, he told them to have sons so that he could have the seed for the new world. This is using seed, the word seed, B'nai. Shem, Ham, Japheth. Well, they got it in the wrong order again. It's Japheth, Shem, Ham. And Noah's woman and his sons, 3 women. His sons, 3 appendages. Isn't it interesting? It says B'nai here, but now it says Banim here. His Banim. Doesn't have the mem on it because it's got the vav to say his. But the yod tells us it's Banim. But again, look at the order. Noah, his seed, his woman, and his sons' women. His sons' appendages entered the ark. They and every beast after its kind, every living thing after its kind. They keep using this word beast. Remember, there's only 3 kinds of animals: behema, bugs, birds. Keep that in your mind, and when you see the beast, you know we're talking about something different. This is Hakayim, the living things. Hakayim. And the Hakayim, after its kind. And the Hakayim, living things. They, the living thing, after its kind. All the behema, after its kind. All the creeping things that creep on the earth, after its kind. And the birds, after its kind. Every bird of every sort. First, he says, all the living things. Then he breaks it down. Oh, we just see that so many times in Torah. We're going to see that hundreds of times. Big picture, little picture. And they went into the ark to Noah. To who? To Noah. 2 by 2, all flesh, in which is the breath of life. The breath of life. We'll talk about that some more in a bit. So those that entered, male and female, there it is, Zakar and Nekabah, of all flesh, went in as Elohim had commanded him, and Yehovah shut him in. Ooh, isn't that so interesting that Yehovah would close the door of the ark? Do you think Noah had friends in the world? Perhaps relatives? That if he were to close the ark, he would be shutting his relatives out? Do you think there would be guilt possibly involved in that decision to shut the ark and prevent them from entering? I think it's a real kindness that Yehovah shut the ark, that Noah didn't have to do it. He shut the ark and locked them out. Everyone, even the animals, were kept safe because of Noah's faithfulness to Yehovah and his ways. Remember, we're talking about his derek. He followed his derek. Derek, that's an interesting word. I don't know if I mentioned this. I'm sure I didn't mention this. But that's where we get the word direction. Directions. We're following his directions, his direct, his ways. Now the flood was on the earth 40 days. The waters increased and lifted up the ark, and it rose high above the earth. The floods were on the earth 40 days. The waters prevailed and greatly increased on the earth, and the ark moved above the surface of the waters. And the waters prevailed exceedingly on the earth, and all the high hills under the whole heaven were covered. High hills. The waters prevailed 15 cubits upward, and the mountains were covered. Getting deeper and deeper. You know what? Did this rain come down for 40 days? It says 40 days. But I think we're going to see that it was still rising for 150 days. We'll see it. I think we'll see it in the next chapter. We won't see it in this chapter. It says, and all flesh died that moved on the earth. All flesh. Now, he's going to talk about all the flesh that died. Birds, cattle. Again, look at they put beasts. They don't get it. There's only 4 kinds of things. Bird kind, animal kind, bug kind, fish kind. And we're talking about the first 3 that are the ones who are going to be destroyed right now. He's not killing the fish kind. And again, the cattle and the beasts and the creepy things, they're all collateral damage. In birds and in behemoth and all the living, creeping things that creep on the earth and all the Adam. All the Adam. All the Adam. Ooh, isn't that interesting? How come it doesn't say all the males and females of the Adam? It says all the Adam. Remember, the Adam, when it talks about Ha-Adam, we're talking about men. Again, the rest of them are just collateral damage. It's the men who have not followed his derek. Every Adam. Who among all these does not know the hand of Yehovah has done this? In whose hand is the soul of every living thing, and the breath of the flesh of every ish. Look at that. The breath of the flesh of every ish. Every living thing. And the breath of the flesh of every ish. Doesn't even talk about the women, does it? There's no lady ish. But where's the females? This is where I started seeing all this stuff about the 2 of a kind. 2 of unclean animals, 7 of clean animals, male and female. It was Ha-Adam's seed who were disobedient to Yehovah's derek, his ways. And where Adam goes, so goes his woman. Was Yehovah mad at the animals, the birds, the creeping things? How about the ladies? Did he tell them to keep any of his ways? I put, is it possible that all living things were just collateral damage? when he destroyed Ha-Adam from the face of the earth? Again, we're talking about this word. Every man, cattle, beasts, birds, cattle, beasts, and every man. Ha-Adam. Not talking about the woman, it's talking about Ha-Adam. He says, let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear Elohim, keep his commandments, for this is Ha-Adam's all. Ha-Adam's all. Distinctly male. Again, these are important things for us to understand. Let me move this up. All in whose nostrils was the breath of the Spirit of life. And Yehovah Elohim formed the man. Oh, this is Genesis 2. Okay, again, we're talking about Ha-Adam, the Ish, the flesh. All whose nostrils was the breath of life, a breath of spirit of life. All that was on dry land died. Okay, I wanted to think, are we talking about men? Still, are we talking about men, women? This is a concept that I always have to press myself to understand deeper. This is the creation of the man. Look what it says. And Yehovah formed Ha-Adam of the dust of the Ha-Adamah, and breathed into his nostrils the breath of Chaim. The word that we're using here is Nishmat Ruach Chaim. That's what it says, the breath of the spirit of life. And the man became a living soul, a Chaim, or a Kai Nefesh. Kai Nefesh. Living soul. 23. So he destroyed all living things which were on the face of the ground, both man and behema, not cattle, creeping things, and the birds of the air. 3 kinds of things. They were destroyed from the earth. Only Noah and those who were with him in the ark remained alive. Everything in the ark remained alive because of one man walking with Elohim, holy. What did it say? He became a holy, righteous Ish, a holy Zadik, a holy Zadik Ish. Because he did, all these survived. We're going to see this in the last days. The ones who are holy, righteous Zadik are going to have a group of people who are going to go with them, and they're going to make it alive into the millennial kingdom. This is not an accident. And the waters prevailed on the earth 150 days. Well, we'll talk about this more in the next chapter. The kind of the order as how it went down from the rising of the water to the going down of the same. Well, I want to turn to Yasher. Maybe we can get through one chapter of Yasher. Let's try. Here it is. We left off with the death of Methuselah. 969 years old. They said 60, but Torah says 969. Let's pick it up here. At that time, after the death of Methuselah, Yehovah said to Noah, "Go thou with thy household into the ark." Big picture. Behold, I will gather to thee all the animals of the earth. Remember, we talked about that. We saw it in Torah, in fact, that Yehovah said he would bring the animals to him. And here it is. You know what? I didn't see it in Torah until I saw it here. Again, this has helped me see something in Torah that I didn't see before. I will gather all the animals of the earth, the beasts of the field, the fowl of the air, and they shall come and surround the ark. And thou shalt go and seat thyself by the door of the ark. And all the beasts, all the living things, they do the same thing. The animals and the fowl shall assemble and place themselves before thee, and such of them as shall come and crouch before thee, thou shalt take and deliver into the hands of thy sons, who shall bring them into the ark, and all that stand before thee shall leave. So even the animals had to bow down, submit themselves, as the son submits himself to a father, as a woman submits herself to a man. Even the animals had to submit themselves to Noah. They had to bow down before Noah before they could come into the ark. I think that's pretty interesting. And Yehovah brought this about on the next day. The animals, the beasts, the fowls came in great multitudes and surrounded the ark. And Noah went and seated himself by the door of the ark. And all the flesh that crouched before him he brought into the ark. And all that stood before him he left on the earth. Now they're going to give us a little story. And a lioness came with her two whelps, male and female. And the three crouched before Noah. And the two whelps rose up against the lioness and smote her, and made her flee from her place. And she went away, and they returned to their place and crouched upon the earth before Noah. Why is this story important? I think there's one really important reason why this story would be included, and that is to demonstrate to us that we're not talking about large animals. How do we fit a giraffe on the ark? How do we fit a Tyrannosaurus Rex on the ark? Or other kinds of animals? Were there dinosaurs on the ark? How did we do it? We used the little ones, not the big ones. Whelps, male and female. And the lioness ran away and stood in the place of the lions. And Noah saw this and wondered greatly. And he rose and took the two whelps and brought them into the ark. And Noah brought into the ark all the living creatures that were on the earth, so that there was none left but which Noah brought into the ark. 2 and 2 came into the ark. But from the clean animals and clean fowl, he brought 7 couples, as Jehovah had commanded him. Now, Yasher kind of makes the male and the female the same by saying 2 by 2. Seven couples. Interesting. And all the animals, beasts, the creeping things, the fowls were there. And they surrounded the ark at every place. And the rain had not descended till 7 days. 7 more days. You know, Sabbath to Sabbath. When do we meet with Yehovah? Today's the Sabbath. It's a meeting time. It's a moed. Does it make sense that this is the day that we're going to meet with Yehovah? And he's going to say, bring the animals in. 7 days later, is that going to be when he's there again, closing the door? Possibly. I think we have to look at this. And on that day, Yahweh caused the whole earth to shake. Ooh, look what's happening, you guys. And the sun darkened. Sun darkened. Heard that kind of knowledge or that kind of wording before. The foundations of the world raged. The whole earth was moved violently, and lightning flashed, and the thunder roared, and the foundations of the earth were broken up, such as was not known to the inhabitants before. And Jehovah did this mighty act in order to terrify the sons, terrify Adam's seed, that there might be no more evil on the earth. Do you remember what I said was going to be the start of the tribulation? A great shaking of the earth right after Passover. Carrie said Passover. He's right. But it's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for the great shaking of the earth. Remember, there's going to be two great shakings of the earth. One is going to turn the world into a wilderness, a desolation. But in a sense, instead of getting, remember, we saw it last week, that they had 120 years to repent before Yehovah brought the waters on the earth. This next time, it's going to be 3.5 years that they have to repent before Yehovah brings his great day and destroys everything in it in that one day. He's going to destroy a whole bunch of them before that, but he's going to finish them off on that day. And still, Adam's seed would not return from their evil ways. And at the end of 7 days, in the 600th year of the life of Noah, the waters of the flood were upon the earth, and all the foundations of the deep were broken up, and the windows of heaven were opened, and the rain was upon the earth 40 days and 40 nights. Look at that. The rain was upon the earth 40 days and 40 nights. I think we're going to see that the water that was coming from inside the earth still kept coming down, still kept coming up for much longer. And Noah, his household, and all the living creatures that were with him came into the ark on account of the waters of the flood. And Yehovah shut him in. And all Adam's seed that were left on the earth. Remember, they were the new kind. When he sinned, Yehovah, man was created in his image. But when they sinned, they became the new kind. The new kind is Adam's seed, the seed that is flesh, that's going to perish from the earth. And all Adam's seed that were left on the earth became exhausted through evil on account of the rain, and the waters were coming more violently upon the earth, and the animals and the beasts were still surrounding the ark. And Adam's seed assembled together, 700,000 men and women. Probably says men and their appendages. And they came unto Noah to the ark. And they called to Noah, saying, "Open for us, that we may come to thee in the ark. Wherefore shall we die?" And Noah with a loud voice answered from the ark, saying, "Have you not all rebelled against Jehovah, and said, he does not exist? He's not important. We're going to follow Yeshua. We're going to believe in Jesus. And therefore Jehovah brought upon you this evil to destroy and cut you off the face of the earth." Oh, remember we talked about the face of the earth and who's left behind last week at great length. We saw that the evil are the ones. Here's just a couple. Psalms. Here, I'll open it up for you. Oh, my. Bigger than I thought. See if we can make it work. There it goes. Who's left behind? The evildoer shall be cut off, but those who wait upon Jehovah, they shall inherit the earth. For Jehovah loves justice and does not forsake his chesed. Oh, I love that word. They are preserved forever. But the descendants of the wicked, sons of Belial, Ha'adam seed, shall be cut off. The Zadik shall inherit the land and dwell in it forever. Wait on Jehovah. Keep his ways. He shall exalt you to inherit the land. When the wicked are cut off, you shall see it. It's going to happen again. We're going to see the wicked cut off. I've seen the wicked in great power, spreading himself. Oh my gosh, I looked at this week. I'm so glad I was in here. Look at this. I got to read it to you again. Wait on Jehovah, keep his ways, and he shall exalt you to inherit the land. When the wicked are cut off, you shall see it. This is what my New King James says. I'm going to read it first. I have seen the wicked in great power and spreading himself like a native green tree. That's what my New King James says. Yet he shall pass away, and behold, he is no more, or he was no more. Indeed, I sought him, but he could not be found. You know what this really does say? This verse 35. Ooh, can we go there? Psalms 37:35. Let me just go there. It's too important. It's just way too important. You got to see this. Psalms 37:35. Here. Psalms 37:35. Oh, I discovered this week when I was looking for the chesed. Look what it says. Well, yeah, I'll read both. Wait on Jehovah, keep his ways, and he shall exalt you to inherit the land. When the wicked are cut off, you shall see it. I have seen the wicked in great power. Okay, this is what we see every day. The wicked and the money makers of the world. Great power, claiming lands everywhere. This is what's going with our national forests. This is what's going with the state forests. It's all land that's being claimed by other people. Oh, yeah. Well, private property, too. That's right, Carrie says, because you don't own your private property. That's why you pay taxes. But listen to what it says. It says spreading himself like a native green tree. No, it doesn't. Spreading himself as a new, look at the word that they use, as a new ra'anah. A new Ezra. It's the new. He's spreading himself like a new Ezra. Oh my gosh. When a man becomes an Ezra and leaves his family, he's supposed to go into the earth and be fruitful and multiply and fill the earth. He's supposed to claim new land, spread new land to new land, and create his own gates. But here's the wicked doing it. What the new Ezra is supposed to do. Do you see what happens when we throw out words and we make it about native green trees? Oh, please, you're killing me. It's Ezra, as a new Ezra. Well, it's the new Ezra who's going to inherit the earth, not the wicked. They're going to be destroyed. We're going to see it. Wowzers. I'm running out of time. 12:50. Remember that verse. That's a great verse. 37:35. Found it when I was looking for the Kassid and all the verses associated with the Kassid. Oh, that is an amazing study I did this week. And Noah, with a loud voice, answered them from the ark, saying, Have you not rebelled against Jehovah, and said he does not exist? And therefore Jehovah brought upon you this evil to destroy and cut you off from the face of the earth. Is this not the thing that I spoke to you 120 years ago? And you would not hearken to the voice of Jehovah? And now do you desire to live on the earth? And they said to Noah, We are ready to return to Jehovah. Lord, Lord, didn't we cast out devils in your name? Only open for us that we may live and not die. And Noah answered them, saying, Behold, now that you see the trouble of your souls, your nefesh, you wish to return to Jehovah. Why did you not return during these 120 years which Jehovah granted you as a determined period? But now you come and tell me on account of the troubles of your souls? Now also Jehovah will not listen to you, neither will he give ear to you on this day. Remember, Jehovah does not hear the prayer of an unrighteous man, so that you will not now succeed in your wishes. And Ha'adam's seed approached to break the ark, to come in on account of the rain, and they could not bear the rain upon them. Well, now look what happens. And Jehovah sent all the beasts and animals that stood around the ark. And the beasts overpowered them and drove them from that place. And every man went his way and again scattered themselves upon the face of the earth. Every man. And rain was still descending upon the earth. And it descended 40 days and 40 nights. This is the rain. And the waters prevailed greatly upon the earth. All flesh that was upon the earth or in the waters died. Not the fish. Whether men, he's going to tell you what they are. Whether men, animals, and the living creeping things or birds of the air. And there only remained Noah and those that were with him in the ark. And the water prevailed, and they greatly increased upon the earth, and they lifted up the ark, and it raised from the earth. And the ark floated upon the face of the waters, and it was tossed upon the water, so that the living creatures within were turned about like pottage in a cauldron. Can you imagine what it must have been like to be in this ark? Incredible. And great anxiety seized all the living creatures that were in the ark. And the ark was like to be broken. And the living creatures that were in the ark were terrified. And the lions roared, and the oxen lowed, the wolves howled, and every living creature in the ark spoke and lamented in its own language, so that the voices reached to a great distance. And Noah and his sons cried and wept in their troubles. I bet you their ladies were too. They were greatly afraid that they had reached the gates of death. And Noah prayed. Who prayed? The sons prayed? The woman prayed? No, Noah prayed unto Jehovah and cried unto him on account of this. And he said, "Oh, Jehovah, help us, for we have no strength to bear this evil that has encompassed us. For the waves of the waters have surrounded us. Mischievous torrents have terrified us. The snares of death have come before us. Answer us, O Jehovah, answer us. Light up thy countenance toward us. Be gracious unto us. Redeem us. Deliver us." Who prayed? Noah prayed. And Jehovah hearkened to the voice of Noah. And Jehovah remembered him. And the wind passed over the earth, and the waters were still, and the ark rested. And the fountains of the deep and the windows of heaven were stopped, and the rain from heaven was restrained, and the waters decreased in those days, and the ark rested upon the mountains of Ararat. I'll show you where that is next week. I don't want to take the time to do it now. I don't have enough time. And Noah opened the windows of the ark, and Noah still called out to Jehovah at that time, and he said, "O Jehovah, who didst form the earth and the heavens and all that are therein, bring forth our souls from this confinement and from this prison wherein thou hast placed us, for I am much wearied with sighing." Can you imagine what it was like being in this confinement? It had to be horrid, just horrid. And Jehovah again hearkened to the voice of Noah, and said, "When thou shalt have completed a full year, thou shalt then go forth." A 1 year prison sentence, it sounds like, doesn't it? It's talking about the prison of our confinement. At the revolution of the year, when a full year was completed to Noah's dwelling in the ark, the waters were dried from off the face of the earth, and Noah put off the coverings of the ark. And on the 27th day of the second month, the earth was dry. But Noah and his sons, those who were with him, did not go out of the ark until Jehovah told them. And the day came that Jehovah told them to go out. And they went out from the ark. And they went and returned, every one to his way and to his place. And Noah and his sons, every one, I think we're talking about the animals, the males specifically. They're going to take their mates with them, their appendages with them, and they're going to go back to their places. And Noah and his sons dwelt in the land that Elohim had told them. Who dwelt in the land? Again, we're talking about the males, aren't we? Noah and his sons dwelt in the land that Elohim had told them. And they served Jehovah all their days. And Jehovah blessed Noah and his sons on their going out of the ark, and said to them, who's he saying it to? He's saying it to Noah and his sons, "Be fruitful, fill the earth, become strong, and increase abundantly on the earth, and multiply therein." Well, now we have 4 chapters, 8, 9, 10, 11, in Genesis to read before we're going to come back to Yasher. And that brings us to 12:59 and closes our day for today. Father, please help us to take this information to heart. Don't let us be one of the wicked who are destroyed from the face of the earth in these coming last days. Teach us, men, how to become Zadik seed, and our appendages how to follow their man, their flesh, their seed, if they have it, faithfully. Help us all to become the men and women that you created us to be. Oh, we love you so much, but we have so much to learn. Well, thank you everyone for joining me today. I hope that you'll come back. All right. Well, until then, have a wonderful day. Bye now.